distant lands we gather, hearts of fire all along. Open because we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. Warriors of the ancient sea, songs of glory dark and bold. In the night, our spirits free, legends born, tales unfold. Open because we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. From horizons wild we roam, with thunder in our soul. Every battle brings us home to the stories ages told. Oh, big Nick, 'cause we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight.
Hey, yo, folks, it is time to record part 2 of the McLeland interview over at HTC with, I don't care what her name is, and him. Yeah, but the important thing, not important is, but we know that McLeland and the prosecutor McLeland, the investigators, they have fought for a very long time to not allowing us to take a look at the evidence. So after Richard Allen was convicted, they spent months pushing their narrative. While we, all right, fun, go screw yourselves, show us the evidence. And month passed, and another month passed, and still, Judge Gull and her office refuses to hand out the evidence that after the trial should be public information. And they refuse. For us, but not to HTC, Hidden True Crime. Apparently, they have some. I assume they will talk about it in the future. Maybe even at the time that you see this on Monday, maybe they have released something. I don't know at the time of recording. If they have, I will address that in the next one. Oh, God. Now, I can't show the McLeland interview because Hidden True Crime copyright claims, even though this is way within the fair use doctrine. They do it because if they copyright claim somebody and take the video down, then you appeal it. Well, then they have 30 days to respond. Meanwhile, your video is down. I can't risk that. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to watch a few minutes. I'm going to do commentary. Then I will edit out the silent minutes while I listen, which might make this a bit choppy. Now, I'm going to start this if you want to tag along with it. I think we are roughly 50 minutes in, roughly. So you will notice when I curse about something specific. So if you have it, if you have it downloaded or something, or if you can stand listen to these people, well, you can tag along with this. All right, let's do it. Let's hear what the opening crap is today. Okay, they are now talking about how they were searching for tips, which every normal investigation, yeah, sure. Do you know anything? And here is where Richard Allen made his mistake. He told somebody. Well, he phoned in. Yeah, I was at the trail. I watched fish. I saw 3 girls, and then I went home, or something of the sort. Then, of course, in the affidavits and even in trial, though the 4 girls, the prosecution made a girl disappear because, according to Rick Allen, this was an hour earlier at 1:30, between noon and 1:30. So somewhere in that time span where he saw 3 girls. An hour later, after 2 p.m., there were 3 girls there who claimed they saw what they believe bridge guy, 4 girls. But in order to manufacture this into, well, Rick Allen is lying about the time, they made one of the girls disappear, saying that, oh no, only 3 girls who saw bridge guy, and bridge guy is Rick Allen. And already there, folks. It's, again, it is so appalling knowing this, how they set it up just to get a conviction. And not just any conviction, a conviction of an outsider, because up until that point, all they had was McLeland's Masonry brothers and people who had been in town and family. I mean, the Ron Logan, he's local. Brad Holder, local. I mean, many of these guys, with an exception of Keegan Klein, who I still don't understand why the investigators, Holman and Liggett and Murphy, whoever it was, looked at Keegan Klein, saw that he had contact with one of the victims, grooming her, and did nothing. Nothing. Let's keep listening here. Now, McLeland says you can't jump to conclusions. Oh, really? You can't do that? What did you do with Rick Allen? You not only jumped to a conclusion, it's like you built the jump yourself. Oh, you weren't sure you were going to arrest him until after the second interview. That's interesting, because how I see it is that the investigators lured him there for picking up his car to get that second interview with the intent to arrest him. Now, if we get the actual interviews and can listen to it, then I can tell you more surely. But since we don't have it yet, it's now into the speculation grade. And so I again, that's infuriating. Oh, really? Second interview. McLeland says we have enough now for an arrest. Really? Was it Rick's telling Holman, You can't make me admit to something I didn't do. What was it? And again, here they are spreading the narrative again. Because so far, we can't really say something against, because all we have is snippets that we learned through the different motions that we learned from people who attended the trial. That's all we have so far. So, and this is also, again, why him and Judge Gull, in my opinion, is cooperating to make sure the evidence, to the furthest extent they can, they don't want us to see it. They don't want us to look at it, compare it to what they have been telling people over the years, and notice, wow, you really are liars. For now, my opinion is that McLeland, Holman, Gull are liars. But if we can compare the evidence with what they have been telling us, now we can be more sure of it. He claims enough probable cause for an arrest. Again, we don't know. We haven't seen, because, yeah. Oh, they checked the boxes on the gun. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. It's not a match. We went through this in the prior video. If you haven't seen it yet, you cannot compare a spent shell casing with a cycle cartridge. That is like saying, oh, this is a genuine Italian pizza with pineapple on it. No, it's not. Oh, I'm going to go back a few seconds here. Sorry. We check the boxes on the gun. Okay, but they tied them to the trail that day. Okay, you knew that. And here, McLeland claims the witnesses didn't see anybody else on that trail that day. You are a liar. The witnesses, none of them described a short guy. The range was young guy, beautiful, poofy hair. Rick Allen, bald. I mean, this is so... Here again, look at the sketches. The three of them of Bridge Guy, who the different witnesses says they saw. And then, of course, you have the guy down at the mailboxes. These are 4 distinct different people. And here McLeland says they all saw the same guy. That's equally stupid as Holman saying that a smart car, a PT Cruiser, and what was it, 1960s Comet, are basically looks the same as a Ford Focus. That is equally stupid. But again, we are talking about morons here. Dangerous morons. Description matched what he was wearing that day. Similar. What? A blue or dark jacket and jeans? Folks, because it's March now, go outside, look at go out on the town square. It doesn't matter if it's Indiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, New York, maybe not Texas, but look at all the middle-aged men and tell me what they are wearing. People in their 40s. I could bet good money that at least half of them are wearing jeans and a blue or dark jacket. So that saying, oh, that's enough for probable cause. No, that might take you away 50% of the male population. That's not evidence. You stupid motherfucker. Oh, here again, a bullet tied to his gun. That's a lie. And you know this is a lie, McLeland. Oh, people will argue the science, but I believe in the science. Oh, I don't argue the science because it's not a fucking science. Tool mark analysis is not a science. It is a subjective opinion. In order for it to be a science, you have to have blind tests. You have to have independent peer review. You have to have people who actively tries to disprove you. That is actual peer review. That gets you into the realm of science. Tool mark analysis when it comes to matching bullets. First of all, again, you can't compare. Even the basics here are wrong. This expert, according to people who were at the trial, said that when she compared the cycled cartridge that she cycled through Rick's gun with the cartridge found at the scene, she couldn't match them. That is why she fired it, and then she claimed she got a match. That is insanely stupid. And proves to me, beyond even unreasonable doubt, that whoever this broad was on the stand is a lying hack who might as well have sat there with tarot cards or an 8-ball. It's that level of bad. Jesus Christ, this is stupid. No other explanation how that bullet got there. It's in Indiana. You're in the woods where everybody has guns. You prove to me that had been there for less than a day. Well, in this case, they didn't find it. When they did the first search, they have to wait until after they interviewed 2 people of interest. They remember, folks, these fuckers, incompetent investigators, freed up the crime scene. Yeah, we're done. And then a day later, we have to close it off again. And then they found this cartridge. You cannot prove to me, or even you can suggest to me, but you cannot damn well tell me when that got there to start with. And then on top of that, you have this absolutely unscientific testing by this chick on the stand who called herself a tool mark expert. No. So, of course, McLeland believes in the science. I mean, okay. McLeland, if you claim to have been a defense attorney, I don't know how many cases you had. Please tell me that you approve of this as a science when you were a defense attorney. No, you wouldn't. Or maybe you would because you're a cunt who actively tries to put people away. Maybe that's why you only were a defense attorney for maybe a couple of years before you switched to prosecution. And now again, they are there claiming, hey, it is. We tied him as bridge guy. Again, look at those sketches. Where are those sketches? Hold on. Here they are. Let's see if I can make it bigger. Let's go with the top 2. Rayleigh's seen near bridge. Teresa seen near bridge. Dressed completely different. These are 2 young guys. Right? You tell me that either of these looks like Rick Allen. Let's look at the other 2. These are the 2 that we have that we saw in the media. Remember, that guy on the left is what Sarah saw on the road, not on the bridge. Not on the bridge. And that is the only one that vaguely resembles Rick Allen. Then you have the other kid, the poofy hair kid, also on the bridge. Near bridge. One of these, I believe, is the one at the mailboxes. I don't remember which one it is. So everybody, when looking at bridge guy, none of them actually saw a middle-aged guy. None of them. They saw young guy, poofy hair. At the mailboxes, young guy. Near the bridge, young guy. None of them saw a short, middle-aged man. Short, bald, middle-aged man. None of them. And that is why McLeland never asked the witnesses if Rick Allen was bridge guy. Okay, let's get back to the interview. Key pillars at the time. And as I showed you, they're all bullshit. The only thing they have to this day that is worth something is that, yeah, I was at the bridge looking at fish an hour before. At least an hour before, according to Rick Allen, which they then manufactured in. No, it was actually 2:30, which is also why they never wanted the geofencing in. This is why they didn't want cell tower data in. Because if Rick Allen wasn't at the bridge at 2:30, they don't have anything. That is also why Judge Gull excluded it, because it did not show Rick Allen. Do I know this for a fact? No, because we haven't seen the fucking evidence. Because they are still withholding it. But you can be damn sure that if Rick Allen's phone, through geofencing or cell tower data, was near the bridge at 2:30 in the afternoon, it would have been evidence in trial. All right, let's keep listening. Oh, now they're talking about 3 girls walking. I said that earlier, 15 minutes ago. Rick saw 4 girls. No, Rick saw 3 girls. What they are talking about here, the witnesses, they were 4. But 1 they allowed. Now ignore her. Now they're talking about, oh, they saw that guy. Yeah, I can show you the pictures again. Remember, let's go through this again. The only one who roughly resembled a middle-aged guy was not seen near the bridge. That is Sarah seen. You remember the guy who was first in muddy clothes and then bloody clothes after she got. Let me just say it like this. I believe that Sarah is an attention seeker. I do not believe for a second she saw anything that day. She made shit up to, I can now make myself interesting by saying I saw something, and then she got caught up with it and kept lying. That is my opinion about her statements. It's bullshit. Now, if you agree with me, then again, what is there? 3 young guys in their 20s to 30s. That is what you have on the trail that day. All right, let's keep listening to this garbage. They are meeting. He's admitting there were actually 4 girls. But the 4th was so young they didn't interview her. How young do you have to be to not be interviewed? 3-year-old? 4-year-old? 7, 8, 9, 10? I don't know. Oh, their description of demeanor. Worthless. If you have the wrong guy. Now you're only applying bias to statement we know you're lying about. Oh, now he's admitting that eyewitness testimony, eyewitnesses isn't really that good. I agree. Eyewitnesses are horrible at remembering things. Absolutely horrible. There was a test in a university where there was a lecture, professor was up talking, then I believe it was, I don't remember which law school it was. Then they have another one walking out, talking for a few minutes, walked out. Then at the end of the lecture, professor asked the class, what did he look like? What was he wearing? And the descriptions was wild. Wild. So if you now, McLeland, acknowledge that eyewitnesses are horrible, why demeanor? Well, folks, let's talk a bit about demeanor. It's about perspective. How were your mood that day? If you're in a bad mood because, oh no, they dragged me on to this damn trail, everybody is going to look bad to you. If these 4 girls were nagging on each other just prior to this, they see rough people, bad demeanor. If they have been all joyous and happy and because birthdays and everybody got, I don't know, Rolex, you smile at people and people smile back, and all of a sudden this demeanor is going to be different. Jesus Christ, this is stupid. And now, okay, so now he actually acknowledged that how they see people is about how were they raised, what happened, yada yada, all of that. So he's basically first saying, oh, we had all this that made us arrest Rick Allen. And then minutes later in the interview, he's discarding all of it because eyewitness testimony isn't really that reliable. Okay, then I agree. So that does not add to the probable cause, does it? All of a sudden, you only have Rick himself saying, I was there noon 1:30. And then you have this fake science report about the bullet. That's it. That was the probable cause. Now they are describing the demeanor. Oh, he looked like he was on a mission. He looks like he was yada yada yada. And maybe he was. Maybe they actually saw the murderer. Yeah. And who was it then? You have on the road, which is this guy, Sarah's, which I believe is a fabrication from start to finish. Betsy, seen on bridge, poofy hair, young guy. Rayleigh, near the bridge, young guy. Teresa, near the bridge, young guy, or a drug addict, I don't know. None of them even have the slightest resemblance of Rick Allen. So with that, does the demeanor mean anything when none of them, not in the slightest, described a short, fat, bald guy, middle-aged guy? Rick Allen is not aggressive. Remember, folks, with all the diagnosis and everything, if Rick Allen is anything, he hurts himself. He doesn't lash out. He lashes in. I'm not a shrink. But I have 30 years in law. I've seen people lashing out and lashing in. It is, in my opinion, now, if you are a shrink watching this, write in the comments below if I'm wrong or if I'm right. But people who latches towards themselves rarely, if ever, latches out aggressively. That picture of Bridge Guy, there is no picture of Bridge Guy. They all said, yeah, that's the guy I saw. I'm not so sure. Well, in the trial, they might have said it, but I don't think. No, I'm not. But this sounds just like bad argument is Bridge Guy, because that few seconds, even if the video in itself is clear on the things that are reasonably close, but when excited utterance, go back and watch her go through that video. When she zooms in on Bridge Guy, there's not enough pixels to barely see it's a face. Again, asking this, is that the person you saw that day? That is you asking them to make a bias. And then of course they're going to say yes, because they saw somebody and there's a guy, and then they add it together. That is their brains adding in things that simply isn't there. It might remind them of, but that's a totally different thing. And again, we really don't know if Bridge Guy had anything to do with this. He might have been a guy just walking past. We don't know what happened before the 43-second video or after the 43-second video. We know that the phone stopped moving at some point in time, at 2:32 or something, but we also know a lot of things happened with that phone all up until, what was it, 10 p.m. with the AUX jack. But there actually is no proof that Bridge Guy is the killer. You can assume it is, because it fits the narrative, but again, there's no time of death, people. The medical examiner could not put a time of death on these girls. It could have been 2:32 when the phone stopped moving, or the last time it registered movement. But it could have been hours later, half a day later. They could have been there an hour before they were found, more or less, according to the medical examiner. Oh, they actually believe that Betsy and Sarah, especially Sarah Carbo, that she's credible. Sarah is the woman who saw somebody in bloody or muddy, depending on which interview, apparently. on the road. Well, an hour, 45 minutes, an hour later. A reminder here: there was on the main highway, more or less. You have a guy, muddy and bloody, walking in the middle of the day, middle of the afternoon, 3 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Nobody else saw that but Sarah Corba. The traffic must have been all the time. Remember, the family got out there roughly at the same time. They didn't see this guy. You had folks traveling in from different places to look for the girls because they never saw the guy. You had people going back from work. They never saw the guy. There's not one tip in that tip line that says muddy, bloody clothes on a guy on the road, except Sarah Corba. And that's what they are relying on. And now, he saw them. That confirms they were the guy he saw. No, he said in the interview, according to people who actually seen the transcript and stuff, he saw 3 girls, not 4. You yourself, McLeland, said just minutes ago there were actually 4 girls, but we only interviewed 3 of them. Well, then it's not the same group of girls. But they still drive that narrative through. Hey, he saw 3 girls. We have 3 interviews with 3 girls. Yeah, but no, you have a group of 4 girls. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, not 3. But now they're talking about, but if you take the whole picture, not the individual pieces. Folks, if you have 0.5, say you have 50% credible evidence here, 50% credible evidence here, 30% credible evidence here, 70% credible evidence here. You don't add those together to get to, we are now all 230% sure. No, you take 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.7 times 0.3. The sum of it is not greater. The sum of all those barely credible evidence is lower if you take them all into a big picture. Lower, not higher. Now he says, if you read the probable cause, and he admits it's poorly written. And then he says, it's hard to write a probable cause affidavit. No, it is not. It's one of the easiest things a cop can do is to write a probable cause affidavit. Because first part, this is me, this is my experience, yada, yada, yada. These are the facts. That's it, more or less. And then you have to sign it, and sign it under the penalty of perjury, more or less. It's not hard. And here's McLeland. It's difficult to write it. Yeah, of course. In this case, yeah, it's fucking hard because they have to make shit up in order to get the search warrant and the probable cause affidavit. And they had to make shit up all the time to get Richard Allen arrested. And Lauren says, yeah, the timeline made sense to her. What fucking timeline? Remember, folks, the timeline is that Rick Allen was startled at somewhere before 2:32 p.m. And then he decided to kill the girls. We know he was startled by this van. We know that van was not there at or before 2:32. We know that. I know there are people out there. You can't trust that time, blah blah blah. That if you so easily disregard the time on that video, why are you so adamant on everything else? Is it just because you wish so hard for Rick Allen to be guilty, so you ignore obvious things that speaks against it? Could it be that each description was a little bit different, but from the witnesses? Yeah, and that is also why McLeland chose to not show the sketches. The defense wanted. They wanted the jury to see the sketches. What the eyewitnesses, yes, of course, you can always see slightly different things. Let's look at this again. This guy, who vaguely resembled Rick Allen, was not seen on the bridge. He was seen on the road by Sarah Carbaugh, who, in my opinion, made it up. This is the guy Betsy saw on the bridge, a young guy with poofy hair. And these are the guys that were seen near the bridge. Young guys. 3 young guys. That's it. That's it. And I can almost bet money that what's her face, I don't know, I don't care what her name is, or the other guy, I don't care what their name is, or I really don't care about their channel either. But you cannot with good conscience look at these sketches and tell me that that is Richard Allen. There's no way you can do that. Even if you say that Sarah Carbaugh is believable, she didn't actually see that guy at or near the bridge. She was the only person on a trafficked road who saw a guy in muddy and bloody clothes. The only one out of all the people who must have traveled on that road that day. She was the only one who saw that guy. Folks, if you hear, oh, there's a rumor there are kids missing, wouldn't you remember driving home from work, seeing a guy in bloody and muddy clothes? Wouldn't you have remembered that? Wouldn't you have called it in? And yet nobody did but Sarah Carbaugh. And this chick with the shiny face. Oh, I walked this and that road, and it adds up. Richard Allen must be a rich guy. Do you want to see the? Let's you by now you remember I show you the pictures. 3 young guys were the people who were near the bridge. Nobody at the bridge described a short guy, a 5'4" guy. No one, not one. They never described a bald guy. They described poofy hair and young guys in the 20s, maybe early 30s. Not a short, fat, bald guy. So you can't with good conscience say Bridge Guy is Rick Allen. And again, we still actually don't know if Bridge Guy had anything to do with it. No, they are talking about if you actually go out there and physically see it. I walked there. Me and Mo. We went there in August of last year, before the trial. I didn't get that from walking there. That is because I don't have that much of an emotional attachment to this case. My connection is that once you sit down and analyze it, actually look at the few things I've been able to look at and analyze them together with the narrative of the state, it does not add up at all. The lack of they blaming that they didn't put the jury out there because of the publicity and the lack of boundary some YouTubers and podcasters have. Oh, poor McLeland! Are people not agreeing with you? Go fuck yourself, you twat! And get new hair plugs. These one are too obvious, those you have. Don't cheap out on hair plugs. Now there's no sense of decorum, there's no sense of this, there's no... Poor you. Poor you. People are criticizing you. Oh, poor McLeland. Do you want a safe place, Mr. McLeland? Do you want a safe little bubble? Do you need your blankie? Do you need your pacifier? Oh, poor you. Twat. Oh, I remember this claim where, you have people following the buses and trying to take pictures of the license plates. I think that is a right out lie. We know that somebody was out there photographing the bus. So fucking what if you can't see the euros? These people were professional. That person, I believe it was only one person. Might be. I don't. If you recall the exact circumstance, please remind me. But to my recollection, there's a bus. Click, and they confiscated everything. Extra click on their website, like you do now, HTC, by gobbling down state cock. You're such a sellout. These are people who are niched in on everybody's guilty. Absolutely niched in. I've seen that in the comment section when I do my commentary on this. And remember, folks, I am always prepared to change my mind. If you watch the different trials I've been covering, you see that I'm always pro-defense. But if the evidence is actually there, you will know it because I will say it. Yeah, I believe the evidence is here. That person can go fuck themselves all the way to hell, rot in prison. And you will hear it from me. But it seems like HTC is solely in all people are guilty, and we will ignore everything that speaks against it. We will ignore misconduct. We will ignore corruption. We will ignore everything because this is our niche. That is my opinion about HTC. Now, if you want that kind of content, get over there. Have fun. This is not the channel for you. Sometimes people who agree with me in most cases show up when I cover a new case and say, hey, here you're dead wrong. And that's part of the charm of my interaction with you guys. If you believe I'm wrong, you have the ability to tell me. And if it is constructive, if you're not one of these trolls who are just here to make a mess, I will listen. I will have a conversation with you. Let's keep going with this. Now they are talking about protect the jury at all costs and everything. All costs? Not really, but make reasonable things to avoid their names and pictures in public. That's about it. Juries, some don't really just want to go home. They're talking, this will have a chilling effect on juries if blah, 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 blah. I don't think so. if they, some jurors are out there an hour later, 15 minutes after the verdict, saying, yes, I was a juror. I will now write a book about it. But some most just goes home and continue their life. It's a trial. I was a juror. I made a decision, and now I'm going home. So chilling effect on jurors? No. I think that is a poor excuse for not being transparent with this specific trial. To choose to not televise it. To now, for months and months, not handing out the public information that the evidence now is. This is just poor excuses. Yeah, the probable cause affidavit was sealed. Even though they went out with name and face and everything, the actual probable cause affidavit was sealed. Again, from the very start, they went out of their way to put out a narrative. That, by the way, is called tainting the jury pool. We have him! Here he is! Here is his name! Here is his face! Let's remove from the website the sketches and everything. Now listen to our narrative. Ignore that we have been talking about. Let me show. I'm going to show you the pictures again. Let's ignore that you first was looking for the Sarah Carbar guy that she saw on the road, or as I believe, she saw shit of nothing. Then, a couple of years later, you said, that man is now not a suspect. Now we're looking for this guy, a young guy. That is what you said publicly. This is who we are looking for now. But as soon as Rick Allen was arrested, all of a sudden, all of that didn't matter anymore. You wanted the narrative out. Because, in my opinion, you knew it was bullshit. You knew it was bullshit from start to finish. But you have to manufacture everything. Everything. That is why the decision was made to put Rick Allen in prison instead of jail. And you claim it was for his protection? Well, that's his choice in that way, if that's the case. And you put him in a prison far away. So he had extremely limited contact with his attorneys and with his family. And now people might show up and say, he could call his wife anytime he wanted. No, he couldn't. No, stop lying. Stop lying. He couldn't. He had very, very limited contact with the outside world. What he did have lots of contact with was other inmates who screamed at him day and night. Inmates as guards, Odinists, and this Walla woman, who, in my opinion, probably fed him information. Then they pumped, and he was there for months without breaking. And then he broke down. He had a psychosis. And they force-fed him Haldol. Not until then did all of this come up. All of these, what he's been screamed at about. You did it, you did it, you did it. The information about the case fed to him. And not until then, with Haldol, Soviet Union's favorite mind-altering drug, then all of these confessions started coming up. Which, if you remember, the 61 different confessions, like, did I do it? I might have done it, all the way up to, I was started by a white van, which we know now, the timing of it doesn't make sense. But he also confessed to killing his grandchildren. He doesn't have grandchildren. He confessed to killing his wife while on phone with his wife. He started World War III. He something with the matchstick. So if you believe the white van stuff, that is credible confession, you can't avoid saying everything else was equally credible. Because that is what happens in a psychosis. People ramble. People ramble. So no, I do not put, had it been 1 or 2 detailed confessions, yeah, that's a whole different story. 61 while under Haldol in an active psychosis, that is never a credible confession. Never! Okay, here's a challenge for you who says this was a credible. I can use this instead. I can use this. Usually I use a red pen, but give me, sign the waiver and give me a week, and I can make you say that this is a screwdriver. How can I say that so confidently? Folks, I did my military service during the Cold War. We were trained in interrogation methods. Not because we were supposed to use it, but because how to withstand it if you get caught. You would recognize these different methods of interrogation. So yeah, I know how to get somebody to confess, even without Haldol. But if you claim that Richard Allen's confessions are credible, then sign the fucking waiver and give me a week, and I can make you confess to more or less anything. If you think you're that strong, sign the waiver. But I know you won't, because the people who say this are anonymous trolls who say shit and then disappear. I could probably make Holman with a waiver and Haldol. I could make Holman confess to things he didn't do. Now he says something about it. He believed it was the right decision to seal the probable cause affidavit. Of course he believes that was the right thing to do, because he hates people knowing the shadiness he does. And now he says he had to protect the integrity of the case. No, you had to protect yourself because you know that you made shit up against Richard Allen. And you're still hiding stuff from the public that you knew this time would come when we would get access to the evidence. But you and Judge Gull actively hinders us because you know how much garbage there is in those so-called evidence. You know that me and many others, once we get a hold of the slush, the evidence presented in trial, so we can actually go through it, every little lie you told the public, you told the jury in that trial will be revealed. You know it. And that is why you so desperately tries to hinder us from accessing it. We had to ensure that all parties had a fair trial. You had zero interest in a fair trial for Richard Allen. Zero. And fair trial for the state? So what? You don't actually have a right to a fair trial as the prosecutor. You don't. The only person with a constitutional right to a fair trial is the defendant. And then, there were witnesses in that affidavit and juveniles in that affidavit. You could have blacked the names out just and provided the rest. But you didn't, because there was so much bullshit in that probable cause affidavit. He was concerned about Richard Allen's safety. No, you weren't. You had zero concern. Oh, he says he doesn't disagree with the public has a right to know. Well, where's the evidence? The trial is over. Rick Allen was sentenced. You can put the prosecutor, Mr. McLeland here. He can choose just here it is. But he knows there, once it gets scrutinized, all of it, he has no case. He knows it. Here's the thing, folks. I will make the example with the Lisk case against Rex Hoyerman. The prosecutors there have bi-weekly meetings with the defense where they hand over, here is what we have since the last time we met. And they freely, voluntarily hands it over to the defense. They have not that many press conferences anymore, which I believe is good. They have had a few, which are excellent, where they explain, here are the different things that we have found out. But the reason they hand it all over to the defense is because they don't care what the defense has, because they have an excellent case with excellent evidence. I have had questions about how this private lab can get this good of a profile out of hair that has been buried for a decade. But I've had that explained to me. Oh, this is the new technology. Which brings us back to this case, the Delphi case against Richard Allen, with unknown DNA on the girls' bodies. And I can tell you with an almost 100% certainty, if they weren't scared of who that DNA belongs to, they would have sent it to one of these private labs for testing. If they thought, hey, we have enough on Richard Allen, there's no way this is not Richard Allen, they wouldn't be scared of the DNA. And remember, somehow they still were able to conclude that Richard Allen's DNA is not on the crime scene. These are unknown male DNA on the crime scene. And there's a lot of people who doesn't care about that. Folks, once that DNA get tested, and it turns out it might be Ron Logan's, it might be Elvis Fields, it might be Keegan Klein's, it might be Patrick Westphal, Brad Holder. Once that is revealed, sadly, that might not be 5, 10, 15, 20 years into the future. But the technology to test it is already here. But they choose to not test it because they are deadly afraid of the result. And the same reason they never asked a witness, is Rick Allen the bridge guy you saw? Because they are deadly afraid of the answer. That is how weak this case is. Now they're talking about Sasquatch. They were finally, but they talked about, they got tips about Sasquatch and Delphi, Bigfoot and aliens and everything. If you go back and watch yesterday's or Sunday, when was it? Saturday? Yes, Saturday's video. You saw that I didn't know that until I started editing that I was wearing my Sasquatch Life t-shirt. I'm still wearing it. I bought this when I went to the Sasquatch Museum and Research Center in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Do I believe in Sasquatch? No. But it's fun. And some fake laughter. Now they are talking about the gag order here. Family honored it. This is the claim again. He wanted to protect the integrity of the case. No, you wanted to protect the narrative you put out for months and months and months about Rick Allen. That is what you wanted to protect. You didn't want people to ask questions. That is why you wanted a gag order. Because after the Franks memo, people started asking questions. What the actual frick is this? What is this? Odinism? What's going on here? Why haven't we heard about this? What FBI report? Things you, Mr. McLeland, actively try to hide from the defense. That is why you put the gag order, or wanted a gag order, which Judge Cole approved. Because you couldn't afford to have another narrative out there. It had integrity of the case. No, it was to protect your narrative. And then make sure there was a fair trial. You have no interest in fair trials, you fucktwat. You didn't. Oh, this is so stupid. I want to get his actual statement here. He didn't want the defense attorneys and family and people putting all of these things out on YouTube. Well, that failed spectacularly, because the more you try to hide things, the more people. This is the Streisand effect. The more you try to hide stuff because of moral and ethical corruption, the more we want to look at it and sway the public. Boom, there it is. He didn't want. Now he finishes off with one way or another. But that's just a trained answer. What he actually means, he didn't want people to sway from the narrative he and his team had put out there about Rick Allen for months and months, for 14 months. That is what he wanted to protect with the gag order. Sadly, it worked. Imagine what else we could have found out if the gag order wasn't there. Imagine that. All right. I don't know how much I have left of this interview. I have to finish this off in a later video. Now it's time for me to go back and edit all this so it makes sense. And if you watched the previous part 1, you know my editing skills are a bit, but I do my best. And the reason, as I said in the beginning of this, I don't want to be copyright claimed by HTC. Because if they copyright claim me, because I show you all of these things, this video will go down. I will appeal this, and then they can put it on a hold for a month. They have done it before, and I can't risk that. That is why I'm not showing anything of HTC. That is why I don't have a transcript, because they have struck down on that as well. No sound with their voices, because they will copyright claim it and take the video down, because that is the cowardness of the HTC channel. They are so far, they have their tongues so latched so far up McLeland's ass I'm amazed they can even talk. But if you managed to get through all of this and you're here now, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you think you're subscribed, check out, because YouTube likes to unsubscribe people for some odd reason. And again, don't just follow and watch this content I put out. Watch the other content creators. Watch R&M Productions. Watch Andy Kopsa. Watch The Professor. Watch Mo. Watch all of us who makes content about the Delphi case. Because numbers counts. So if you watch me here, then go watch my... I would prefer if you watch my entire playlist, but that's besides the point. The important stuff is to get this, to have this continue to be a topic people want to make videos about. If you have a channel of your own, use a clip where I curse. I use what's it called? CC the Creative Commons 4.0. As long as you put my name. Even if you think I'm way out there and think, oh, look at this moron. Go ahead. I don't mind. Use it, because I'm not scared of any. Well, in this context, I'm not scared of people making fun of me. Go right ahead. As long as you credit me, this channel, go right ahead. Clip everything you want. Anything you want. And with that, again, thank you for being here. Have a good one, and I will see you guys in the next stream or video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.